Well, hello and welcome to Watch What Crappens. This is part 2 of a 2-part recap. If you're like, hey, wait a minute, I didn't hear part 1. Guys, it's because we put out a lot of recaps. Go back and listen to part 1, okay? It's before this one. Bye. Enjoy the show.
So we're at Jesse's house and Isabella is there and she's drawing or whatever and she has a booger. She gives it to Jesse. He takes it and he throws it away. And
I know you loved that. I thought that was so funny. But
I was just
like,
it.
He's like, everything okay? She's like, I have booger. It's right on her finger. He's like, okay, I will take that booger.
I loved it because it meant that Jesse had to have a booger on his finger. So I was like, oh, more power to Isabella, you know?
So Jesse is having a moment of clarity where he's like, you can only be bitter for so long. And now I'm exhausted, so I'm going to be really nice. I don't want it to consume me. I don't want my wife's whoredom to consume me. So, you know, I have 3 things. I've got my relationship, my business, and my daughter. So, and a booger. 4 things. 4 things.
Here. So I got my relationship now. I have my business. I've got Isabella.
We're singing Color Purple.
Yes.
I got my business. I got my booger too. I got my baby. I got a piano I don't play.
I believe Michelle is a whore, and I know it in my bones because she's slutty, slutty, slutty.
And I buy it up until the moment he starts tap dancing. I'm like, well, oh my God, I can't. I'm leaving
Not
this
in
movie.
the bloomers. He's tap
I'm not
dancing on the
staying
bar.
in a movie that forces Celie to tap dance in a fabric store. I will not do it.
Jesse's like, Michelle, until you do right by me, you will not be allowed to see Isabella. So, yeah, so the iPad rings. Michelle is there, and Isabella's like, Michelle is like, guess what, Isabella? I found your key in the refrigerator. That's mommy's favorite place because it's cold.
And she's like, you could bring me the key. You could bring it. You could drop it off. And she's like, no, I'm not going to drop it off. What are you talking about? You are the one who left it at home. And Jesse's like, yeah, she'll get her way because she's bossy. She goes, no, you drop it off. And so Michelle's like, okay, I'll drop it. I will drop it off. I will do it.
Doesn't Michelle say something like, well, I have concerns about dropping off the key because it's my house key, but she still drops it off? I'm like, why does your 4-year-old have access to the house key? I'm sorry. Like,
I mean, Jesse can copy the key. He can just get the key off the 4-year-old. It's not like it's going to be that tricky.
Besides, doesn't Rob Reiner have like a guard at the front who can let them all in? I don't understand.
Yeah, except everybody knows the code is meatloaf. No, everybody knows the code is meathead. So Jesse's like, yeah, we're going to figure it out. Look how I opened the door for Michelle. I'm a good person now. So she's just ignoring him. And she's like, here is your key. And Isabella takes the key and she goes, refrigerator, it's not cold.
She's like,
You're lying to me, Mommy. That's what Daddy says you always do.
You lying whore.
so Jesse is doing this whole thing of like, I'm just coexisting with Michelle at this point. We live this parallel life until that life collides again in a positive way. I think it'll work out. He's basically doing this whole like, I'm a good evolved guy and it's up to her to mature because I've already matured and I'm classy. I'm gonna drink my wine. I'm like, don't buy it for 1 second.
We saw the last episode. Why are you acting like it's been a year since the last episode?
I know.
It's like, yeah, after all of this, I've really learned to mature now. And he's like, yeah, I really want things to work out with Michelle. So it cuts back to them and he's like, did you bring the Crocs too? She's like, no, I was in a rush. And goes, yeah, and the pink sippy cup.
Just get a new pink sippy cup, sir. So then we now go to Brittany's house because it's time for an apology dinner. So Chef Gino is there, and Britt is offering everyone shots at this dinner for apologizing for drunken behavior, for drunkenly accusing someone of being too drunk. So they're gonna have some shots to kick off the drunken apology.
Exactly. Like, let's have shots and caviar, y'all. Okay. I just think it's real important. Gino's real cute. He can cook too. He's also real cute. So Janet, everybody arrives, and Nia's like, I feel so uncomfortable. Am I coming to my funeral? Why is everybody in black?
But then Kristen comes in like bright orange, like straight from selling trinkets at a farmer's market. Hey guys, made $35. What's going on, everyone?
They're like, does anybody smell patchouli? It's just like a big puff of smoke, and Kristen's there. It's incense, stupid.
Oh, I made $16. I was so close to making more. As one person once sang, I was on the edge of 17.
Okay, so it's really quiet. Everyone's just staring at each other, like waiting to talk. So Brittany's like, okay, well, I think at the beginning of this dinner, I need to address what happened the other day in Santa Barbara's because, I love you, Nia. I love you. So I just want to clear the air. Okay. So I'm sorry how it came across, how it came out. That was crazy, okay? Like, if we weren't drinking all day and eating all day and just drunk off our asses, okay? It's not that drinking's an excuse, but we were just drunk, So I hope that that's okay. I'm like, yeah, you were shit-faced and having an alcoholic discussion.
It is funny because I didn't even clock this. When you said it at the top of the show, I didn't even clock the fact that they're apologizing for accusing Danny of being wasted, and they're apologizing for they had bad delivery because they themselves were wasted. It is actually hilarious.
And I would also say jaxed up because both of them were not just drunk; they were both like very agitated and like. So it's just funny that this whole plot line is going on with Jax while they're all still jaxing up on trip and yelling. I know,
at each other. So Jasmine apologizes for raising her voice. And so Nia's basically like, okay, you bitches, you guys want to mess with the pageant queen because you're about to get pageant queen real good because I got a secret for you. It's my backstory. So Nia tells.
All I've ever wanted was world peace. Like, oh shit, we're about to look real bad on television.
So Nia explains why she acts the way she does. And so she tells a story, which is, it's an emotional story because she talks about how growing up, she was homeless and she and her mom, they would have to camp out in people's backyards, living on sofas. And they lived in cars. And then when she was living in LA in between jobs, or she lived in her car and she would sleep in the backseat, and how mortifying it was to have security guard like knock on the window and say, you gotta like go move your car to Ralph's, which is a supermarket over here. And it is a very moving story. And I liked it because she's basically like, yeah, you guys thought you could come for me, but I have a torturous backstory and I'm going to destroy you all with it.
I have to say, I cried a little bit, which is kind of rare. I cried the weirdest times, but I kind of cried a little bit. And then I started cracking up because she's like going through this whole thing, like we're homeless. Even as an adult, I was sleeping in my own car. And so there's a reason why it's important to me to stay positive. So I'm not really pretending everything's perfect. I'm just staying positive. And I'm kind of crying because that's, like it's so sad real. And it's so sweet. Yeah. Like she's such a sweet person. And then I started laughing because I cut to Brittany's face, and Brittany's face is just like this. She realized this is her season where she's supposed to be the biggest victim on earth, and all this stuff with Jack, she's supposed to be getting all this, and she threw it away in 1 second and probably a coked out rage, yelling at this poor woman who's now making herself the biggest martyr on the show. And you just see Brittany like, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a cotton picking minute. You just see it go across her face. I was cracking up. So Kristen's like, yeah, I had no idea Nia went through so much. If you mess with Nia, you're messing with Stevie.
You have to go through me first. I was like, oh, okay. Doesn't seem too threatening. I loved this moment that this is like a moment where Kristen's like, wow, like she's pledging her support for Nia, but I'm like, you're also revealing you're kind of a shitty friend. How do you not know this about Nia? Do you guys ever ask your friends about like their lives? This seems like a pretty big deal. I also was laughing because I too was like, this is like, it's an emotional story. And I was like very moved. And I was like, wow, like that, I can't even imagine. And yet when a similar story was told on Selling Sunset, when Chriselle was like, yeah, I was raised in a car. I was just like, fuck you, Chriselle. Don't even try to manipulate me like that.
It's just Chriselle just comes out at the weirdest times. And it's like, I was the smelly kid in school, guys. Like, okay. Well, Nia, I think the difference in Nia's is because she's actually explaining why she's so positive. Whereas Chriselle, it came from stupid fights.
It's like,
they were in.
the reason why I need to sell this 3-bedroom, 4-bathroom house in Sherman Oaks is because I was the smelly kid.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
feels tenuous.
Like Christine being mean to me reminds me of being the smelly kid. I was like, huh? So, she goes through this whole thing and she's like, that's why I have to stay positive, because even like sleeping in the car, I would say, thank God that I at least have this car. So I've had to have that perspective, and that's just how I am. And my therapist says, you've had to be that way to survive. And I love that you have to go to a therapist in LA for being positive. Because people are like, what's wrong with you? Why are you always looking at the bright side of things? Something's fucking wrong with you. You never cry. You're not divorcing your husband. What the fuck? She's like, and so I went to therapy for it, and they told me, you've had to be positive. You had no other choice.
Jasmine's like, thank you for sharing that. You explained that right now. And like, that totally makes sense. And I think it was just hard to see like so many people being so vulnerable about certain things. And you had this whole story about being unhoused and you didn't even share it at that moment. It just would have been a great opportunity then. And that's where my frustration really was.
So what is Jasmine vulnerable about? What has Jasmine brought here? Nothing except this storyline with Danny, which she didn't bring to the table. So she's saying everybody else is being so vulnerable, and she keeps pointing to Brittany. But what have you brought except the Danny thing, which you didn't bring to the table either? So I can't help but be annoyed with this. And Nia's like, okay, I mean, I see your perspective, but if you feel like I was hiding, then it was more hurtful that you left the table to talk about it. Like, you could talk to me. And Brittany's like, well, like, I love seeing that part of you, like this poor person part of you, because, sleeping in your car, I mean, that's just what we do where I come from. So, like, I'll get it. Okay. I'm poor too. Okay. Do I get points? Because I grew up pretty poor too. My mama wears white out as lipstick. Okay.
Me, mom melts her cheese for the beer cheese on a catalytic converter. So Janet's like, I'm really grateful and happy.
Because Brittany's face when she's talking about like growing up and sleeping in parking lots, Brittany's like, I mean, was it a bad neighborhood?
That's like saying you grew up watching the Smurfs. I mean, we all did that, right? So Janet's like, I'm really grateful and happy to see that Nia's opening up and being honest and that they're working through things, but the behavior didn't stop. And my husband has never once hidden a cupboard chugging tequila, making people uncomfortable. So,
oh God, making me uncomfortable. There it is. There it is, Janet. Oh no, I was uncomfortable. I was in the closet with a man who drank tequila in front of me, but was hiding it somehow.
So she tells her, I think some of the reason that I had such a reaction also to like Danny being passed out was something kind of strange happened. Like when we got back to the house after wine tasting, like I walked into the walk-in pantry to get like a snack. I was gonna make a easy Mac cup, nothing too big. And when I walked in, Daniel came in behind me. Is it okay if I call him Daniel? And shut the door and then like chugged out of a tequila bottle. And he was like, and it just made me feel like a little uncomfortable because I didn't want to be part of like, if you wanted to do something and you didn't want everyone to see, I didn't want to be part of a secret, And if you're ever having concerns about his drinking, like, I don't want you to, because of how everything happened in Santa Barbara, I don't want you to have to feel like you don't have friends that you could go to because, I was in a relationship for years with someone who had a drug and alcohol problem. And so if Danny ever needs to check into rehab, he can always crash at our house and I can talk to him about his issues, nothing too big.
Yeah, and I loved when Nia said, yeah, I feel like that's a really, like Nia's demeanor changed. And she's like, yeah, I feel like that's a really big statement for you to make. And Kristen's like, yeah, I agree. And Nia's like, I mean, I know you're trying to pretend you're being nice here, okay, with your your blatant fucking concern trolling. But that's kind of a big thing to say. Like, if you have a problem with Daniel's drinking, okay, like, we're good now. And Jasmine's like, well, I mean, like, she means because, like, he's in a closet. Like, he was taking a shot in a closet. Like, he was in a closet taking a shot. And Janet goes, yeah, because he was hiding it. He was doing it right in front of you, Janet. And he is like, well, but you just compared it to someone who had drug and alcohol problems. And Jasmine goes, oh, yeah, I missed that. I didn't get that either. I didn't get that. Not that haven't been doing the same thing this whole time. But yeah. What?
And Nia's like, because Daniel doesn't do drugs. And so comparing it to someone who has drug and alcohol problems, that's like a whole different thing, you know? And she's basically saying that Janet is totally off base and implying that, you know, that Danny has a drug and alcohol problem. And she's like, this is the worst apology I've ever heard. I was like, well, you should listen to some of Jax's apologies because they're a little bit worse. But I'll give you this one.
But it was, yeah, she's right that it's not an apology. And so now Janet's pissed. And she tells us, yeah, because God forbid I compare a very painful and difficult experience I went through to Nia's perfect fucking husband. Yeah, because it's not you. Stop projecting your terrible fucking life onto everybody else, Janet.
It's time for a commercial. It's time for a Crappens commercial.
Question. This is a serious question. How would you, I mean, it's not a serious moment, but it's a serious question though. How would you, if you had a concern, and this is not a defense of Janet, I'm curious, if you were in a situation where you were concerned that a friend's partner may have a drinking problem, how do you think you would bring it up? In a way that does not make it seem like, oh, your husband's a total alcoholic. If you need to talk about it, I'm here for you.
I would say, hey, you know, there have been problems with your husband. Like he got wasted on that Halloween night. Now he's, you know, wasted here. Do you think that there's like, are you okay? Like, do you think there's some kind of a problem? I mean, if it was my friend, but if it was some shithead like Janet, who's just waiting for cameras and trying to make tiny little things like the tequila in the closet. And I'm so uncomfortable. And I know a drug addict and he just seems like a drug addict, like blatantly stirring the pot on national TV to embarrass me. I would be like, fuck you. You know, there's different ways to do it. I mean, I'm not saying people can't talk to their friends about it if there's something going on. It's just obvious that Shannon's trying to paint this picture of Danny as this drug addict, alcoholic thing on TV behind her back and is now springing it on her. And I'm glad that Nia's wise to Janet's manipulations.
I really appreciate that you accidentally called Janet Shannon in there for one instance.
Well, I would like to imply something.
I think that for me, I think I would just like separate that question about Danny from this dinner, because I think this dinner is more about like, hey, we want to make good with you, Nia, and then maybe go on like a private coffee with Nia and say, hey, I want to check in about Danny because I felt bad like that. Like, how are you feeling about his drinking? Because it did kind of suck that like you had to like bear the brunt of this whole situation. Is everything okay? Just want to do a check-in. And then if they said everything is fine, it's like, then that's all you have to go in. But I don't know if I would say, well, because I knew someone who had like a severe issue with drinking and I'm seeing it in Danny. And I think that if you need to talk about it, I'm here to talk about it. But I think I maybe
because Janet's doing it in front of everybody, first of all, and on TV. And she's saying, you know, I went through the same thing as you because I also had a boyfriend with a drug and alcohol problem. You know, she's wording it in a way that she's saying that Danny has a drug and alcohol problem. She's not trying to say, does he have a problem? She's saying, your husband has a problem because my husband had a problem, you know, right. Which is just shitty. And it's also, she knows what she's fucking doing. And she's doing it with that concerned little face and just nodding. And so Nia's like, okay. And Janet says, yeah, and that was just an uncomfortable moment. I'm going to say uncomfortable again because I was basically assaulted by your husband in a closet. So I just wanted to tell you that. And Nia's like, okay, well, that makes sense. But she's pissed. And Janet's just doing that concerned nodding at her. And she goes, yeah, but you know, everyone was drinking. So including you and your double fisting fucking husband who
did Janet ever
your fucking Jack supporting drunk of a husband, by the way, who's out there saying Jax is an amazing dad, etc. So
I wonder why did Janet, I will give people in general credit for if they have an ex in their life and they've had experience with this sort of situation that they could be brought back to that place, and that's why they immediately jump to that conclusion. But did we ever see Janet have this conversation with Brittany ahead of Jax going into rehab?
No, everybody ignored everything that Brittany wanted her to. Don't you remember last season was all about Jax calling Brittany an alcoholic? So Jax was making it that Brittany was this huge alcoholic, and they had to have a discussion about Brittany's drinking. And Brittany was like, how dare you embarrass me by bringing up my drinking in front of everybody? And now this year, she's like, why aren't we bringing up Danny's drinking in front of everybody? Fucking hypocrite, you know? So no, nobody gave a shit until Brittany wanted to make it a storyline. But now they're all wanting. I think they don't like Nia. It's like a kind of a thing we see on these shows all the time. Nia's getting this. They look at it as Nia's getting this perfect edit. Like everybody likes Nia. There's nobody who doesn't like Nia. I wouldn't say like she's the most popular person on the show, but I think everyone can pretty much agree that Nia's a pretty sweet person.
I know. I will forever eat my words.
Fucking crazy because Janet is hated by the country. And Brittany's probably about half and half. She's got supporters, but she's also got people calling her trash all the time. Michelle's got people calling her trash all the time. And I think they're just like, fuck this girl. Meanwhile, this girl's husband's getting drunk and no one's saying anything about her. Like she gets to be this perfect thing. But the problem is it's not about the person that they're with being an asshole. And that's why they're being villainized. And I think that's what the people I just mentioned on the show are trying to draw comparisons to. It's like Nia gets away scot-free because Nia's nice. Danny's not getting away scot-free. Danny's being attacked all over for the shit he did, and rightly so. But Nia's not because she's nice. Whereas I think Brittany's thinking, I'm being attacked because of Jax. And Michelle's thinking, I'm being attacked because of Jesse. And Janet's like, I'm being attacked because of, I don't know who Janet's blaming, but they're
no, I think that I think it's not even that they're like, oh, Janet's not even that like Nia's more popular. And by the way, the first episode ever of The Valley, I was like, look at Nia, she's evil. I guarantee everyone watch. She's gonna be the biggest bitch of all, and it is yet to happen. But
you never know. It could come through at the end.
It still could happen. Bitch flowers
could be a slow burn.
It could be like a corpse flower. It just takes 100 years for it to bloom. But I do think that the common thing here, and then what we touched on earlier, is that Nia has been able to not get into the mess and not get the crap all over her. And I think they see that as like not being fair. And they're like, we have to deal with bullshit from the audience, and we have to deal with bullshit from each other, and we have to deal with scandal. And you get to just like come in. And then when it's too uncomfortable or you don't want to talk about things, you are able to gracefully and maturely exit the situation. And we don't have the tools to do that. So we want to put you in a situation where you cannot escape and get the crap on you. And Nia's like, no. So that's where that is.
Yeah.
So Kristen's like, oh, seriously, the one thing moving forward is if we can all do this. Okay, if there's a problem, go to the person straight up and ask. I think we figured it out, which I think is funny because how many times on reality shows do we have these summits where it always concludes like, going forward, if you hear anything about me or I hear anything about you or we have issues with each other, let's talk about it face to face. We literally just saw with Portia and Shamia. It's my favorite resolution that has yet to ever be followed.
Which, by the way, Nia leaves and they immediately start talking about what an alcoholic Danny is. So yeah, yes. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it to each other. And Brittany's like, y'all, let's pinky promise. Let's pinky. Why is everybody grabbing my finger? That's when you promise and you eat a big hot dog. Come on.
So no, Nia's like, well, in this moment, I did not feel like Janet's being a friend, and I just feel like what Daniel and I have experienced and worked through is now kind of being thrown back at me and being weaponized. Which she's right. So Brittany's like, I feel like that was really positive with Nia. And Jasmine's like, yeah, I appreciate that we had this conversation with her. I still feel, though, I'm not going to lie, it's just a little bit like when someone cries in front of me. I'm just like, fuck it. No, I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to believe it. So they immediate pivot.
Yeah, and Kristen's like, what? Why do you still feel that? And she's like, well, I mean, like, you know, the thought, like, it was more about, like, her relationship with Danny. And, like, that's what I kept saying over and over. I was like, let me be clear. Remember I said that? And Kristen's like, she literally just poured her heart out. So, like, she explained it. So, like, she explained why she does it. And Jasmine's like, no, like, look, I'm not saying he has a drinking problem. Okay? I'm not saying, yes, you are. Just fucking say it. And Jasmine's like, but, you know, like, there's signs. You know, there's signs that he has a drinking problem. Like, are you kidding me? There's signs, guys. There's just signs. So, like you know,
I know what an alcoholic is doing.
What?
I'm not saying he's an alcoholic, but I know what an alcoholic is doing. So when Janet said that, I'm like, ding, 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 Danny's an alcoholic. But I'm absolutely not saying he's an alcoholic. Okay?
Talk about not being able to just fucking have the balls to say it. Just say it then. So Janet's like, yeah, he's just so sneaky. I was so uncomfortable. And she's like, yeah, and like she might understand it to be something more, but like, that's only why she attacked you like that. That's what? She didn't attack anybody. What are you fucking talking about? You guys are just making shit up now.
Yeah. Seriously, I just think it's really dangerous thing to call someone an alcoholic. I mean, sure, Jill has her problems, but I think generally speaking, like dog alcoholism is different. And so Jasmine, I don't even know what I'm saying.
I like that you made Jill an alcoholic.
I'm just imagining Jill as this dog being like, oh yeah, you want to fuck with me, Luke?
So Jasmine was like, she didn't call him an alcoholic. She didn't call him an alcoholic, and neither did I. Yes, you did. Yes, you fucking did. And Janet's like, no, I'm not calling him an alcoholic. Yes, you did. Yes, you guys are. You guys, how stupid do you think people are? And she's like, well, she said it triggered her, but like, I'm sorry. If you show up in no costume at Jax's bar on Halloween with fucking like you start grabbing people's asses and telling me to call you daddy, you got a problem. And he got kicked out twice. So did Zach. And you're still besties with Zach.
Wait, why does Danny
Zach
not
got
being
kicked
in a
out
costume?
of that bar? Huh?
Why is Danny not being in a costume get put on that list? Like, you show up with no costume on at a Halloween party.
And I
like
feel
that's
like I
up there
have
with
to
the
say this every
alcoholism.
time I'm going against whatever Jasmine's saying, because it's going against just because I think Jasmine is kind of full of shit along with Janet and to a lesser degree, but it's also getting on my nerves. I feel like I have to say I'm not standing up for what Danny did on Halloween. She has every right to go after him. But again, they had another sit down with Nia where they're supposed to talk things through in her face, and they didn't. Like, why wasn't that the discussion? Mm-hmm. So she's like, well, did she bring it up? Maybe she did bring it up in this dinner and I skipped it.
She brought it up, but like not like this. She was like, because basically she's basically saying here, she's like, I'm not calling him an alcoholic, but I'm calling him an alcoholic because he clearly has a problem with drinking. And I think, by the way, I think you're allowed to say, like, someone needs to handle their alcohol better. It does not, it doesn't have to be just like alcoholic or not alcoholic. Like, you can tell people, hey, you're at a certain age. It's time to start being smarter with your drinking. I think that's a valid thing to say to someone. But like, she doesn't say that to Nia. She doesn't say it at all.
Right. So she's like, well, I'm not letting this Danny thing go because it's still really bothering me. And I'm going to sit him down and talk to him about it, which, again, you have every right to do that. It's the talking behind. It's everything else that you're doing that's not great. So, basically, Nia comes home. Danny's just doing the, hey, 3 under 3, mwah, 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 give you a baby if we move to Santa Fe. Okay, 3 under 3 in Santa Fe. And so she tells him what's going on, and she's like, and then Janet brings up that she had an ex that has a drug and alcohol problem, and like. She's like, I can be here for you. And Danny laughs and put his head. He's like, what the hell are these people doing? Like, they're taking this too far. So he laughs. And she's like, Danny, don't laugh, Danny. I don't like that. I don't like that you're laughing. He's like, oh, my God.
Like, ha, 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 ha. Danny, I can see you're pretending like those are sighs. That's still just a very slow laugh extended over 10 seconds. Ha. Yes. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm not laughing. Sorry, not laughing at all. Sorry.
Yeah. Am I,
so Danny,
laugh? Sorry, it was a sigh. I had something in my throat. Sorry.
Danny says, well, Janet again, trying to stir something up, making assumptions that aren't true, but throwing them out there. She wants to get. I'm like, she is. But also, Danny, you're one to talk because last time I checked, you're the one who gossiped about Michelle being a prostitute. Exactly. Okay, so you're not so innocent on the stirring shit up front either.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's like no matter what's happening with the other group, it doesn't absolve Danny of also being a little shit, in his own right. So Janet's like, so then we go to Janet and Jason's house. Jason, and their low ass hood's house, and Jason's like, so how did it end? Are you guys good? And she's like, well, I mean. Here's where I'm at with Nia. You can't continue to protect this person who's doing something wrong, especially when it's affecting like Jasmine and Melissa's relationship. Do you know what Jasmine and Melissa are currently going through because of this?
And Jason's like, yeah, I mean, at this point, you got to sort of know your limits. And it's like, well, it's the hiding too. Kristen kept saying, oh, we're not going to act like Danny has a drinking problem. Well, I'm not saying Danny needs to be where Jax is, but it might be worth questioning his relationship with alcohol. Oh, no. This is exactly what I was saying, isn't it? I'm Janeting it up over here. But she's saying it might be worth for Danny to question where his relationship with alcohol. And if it's hiding, if you're doing these little things, it's not great.
He's not hiding. He did it right in front of you. I'm going to keep saying it every time she says that because Janet keeps saying the same thing over. She's like a fucking hacky politician who just keeps saying the same thing over and over until it memes, you know? So then back to Nia. She's like, you know, and she also said that when you had the tequila, that it was in the pantry in the bedroom area and that you went in there with tequila and like took a shot of it, which of course you told me, but that you closed the door like you were trying to hide it. So she's like, well, I don't want to be on a secret. And she's like, honey, don't laugh. He's like, am I laughing? I just, because it just gets worse and worse. He's like, what is this woman trying to do to me?
And he's like, okay. He's like, take it seriously, honey. He's like, okay, well, look, that's where the bottles were, behind the door, you know? She's like, okay, well, I did not know that. Yeah, it's in that back door, yeah. And she's like, well, I didn't know that. I didn't know. He's like, so I literally picked it up and I took a shot. And then I was going back there. I had to shut the door, you know?
So Janet's so fucking ridiculous. I can't. This is when I was just like, oh, fuck off, Janet. When he said that the alcohol was behind the door, so I had to close it. So Nia's like, well, yeah, I mean, you told me you took a shot, but you didn't say you closed the door. And so, yeah, he's like, well, that's why I did it, you know? So then Nia's like, okay, well, then I'm not bothered by it. And he's like, yeah, this whole thing's crazy. And so he laughs again. And she's like, stop laughing. It's a nervous laugh and I don't like it. You did that thing. That's a laugh.
No. I'm in character as a zombie who just went to the improv, you know, because zombies do enjoy stand-up too. And I'm just in character. That's all. It's not a me laugh. I'm working right now. And basically, this is for our family. This laugh is for our family right now.
Danny. So now Jason is telling Janet, well, I'll have a talk with Danny because he needs to understand how his behavior is hurting all of us. Okay, Jason. Basic ass Jason. So that's pretty much it. You know, Danny's like, this is the end of the roast of Danny Bucco. That is not okay. Roasting Danny Bucco. That will stop today. It will stop today.
It is nice, though, to see Danny get his feet put to the fire a little bit, though, you know, because he has kind of been able to skate by and he does messy things and he just sort of smiles and is really cute and everything. But like, you know, I think I kind of feel like it sucks that Nia had to bear the brunt of Danny's actions. And that is as much the problem with the people who were doing the brunt, sending the brunt towards her, but also like, you know, how about
I have no problem with Danny having his feet to the fire. I think that's great. Hold his feet to the fire. He's done shit you guys can call him out on. It's just coming for Nia is low.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what a fun episode. The Valley is full of all sorts of feels. Thanks for being here, everyone. And we will catch you on the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Watch What Crappens would like to thank its premium sponsors.
Ain't no thing like Allison King.
It's always a party on Allison Block.
Our way is the Amber way.
It's the Foster and the Furious. It's Amanda Foster.
She can run my country. It's Angie McGovern.
It's always automatic with Ashley Auto. Put your hands together for Carly Clapp.
Get on the right foot with Chrissy Offit.
She's not just a Sheila, she's a Daniela. Etchels.
We never miss her call. It's Diane Call.
Aaron McNicholas. She don't miss no trickolas.
Hava Nagila Weber.
You'll never hide from Heidi Eleanor Jones.
I go, you go, we all go for Hugo.
Jamie. She has no last namey.
She's our kind of mess. It's Jennifer Messer.
Sip some scotch with Jessica Trotch.
She's our favorite streamer, Caroline Peacock.
Kristen the Piston Anderson. Get a bee in your bonnet with Lacey B.
Bringing the funk, it's Leslie Plunkett.
She gets a name from us. It's Lindsay D.
Let's give a kisserino to Lisa Lino.
Fresh as a daisy, it's Maisie McHenry. We love her on the rocks. It's Melissa Cox.
Megan Berg. You can't have a burger without the Berg.
This is Livin' with Michelle Vivian.
I love ya, Olivia Williamson. Tastier than Flanderson, it's Rachel Manderson.
She sure is swell. It's Raquel.
Yes, we canna, it's Savannah.
Cast a spell with Shannon Spellman.
Let's share with Sharon Eldridge.
The Bay Area Betches.
And our super premium sponsors.
She's VVIP, it's Amanda V. Can't lose when you're with Amy Baldwin.
Somebody get us 10 cc's of Betsy MD.
We're taking the gold with Brenda Silva.
Let's get real with Caitlin O'Neill.
Don't get salty with Christine Pepper. Can't have a meal without the Emily Sides.
Let's go into the woods with Guy Tubbs.
Who, what, why, where, and Gwen Pentland.
It's our queen. It's Queen Latifah.
Nobody holds a candle to Jamie Kendall.
Know your worth with Jason Kurth.
Hail the Cork Master, the Master of the Cork, Jennifer Corcoran. We got our wish, it's Jen Plish.
She's not harsh. She's Jill Hirsch.
She's a little bit loony. Junie. My favorite Murdo, Karen McMurdo.
She gets an A, it's Kelly B.
We love him madly. It's Kyle Pod Shadley. We're ride or die for Lisa Ryder Barron.
She's a whiz, it's Liz Sarthy.
Always killing it. It's Lola Alkalani.
The incredible edible Matthews sisters.
She eases our woes, it's Melissa St. Rose. We're on the floor with Molly Dorset. There's a chance of meatballs, it's Rebecca Cloud.
She's the queen bee, it's Sarah Lemke. Shannon, out of a cannon, Anthony.
Let's take off with Tamla Plain.
It's always a good time when you're wasting time with Bravo.
She ain't no shrinking Violet Kuchar. We love you guys.